tripod. I'm Lynn, Nino, and I've been organizing these shows for more than 5 years. And it's because there's so much local talent each month. I think, well, I might be tired of doing this, and then I run into 3 more artists or travelers and go, God, we've got to do at least one more. So here we go. There's a bathroom downstairs in the back. What else do I need to tell you? There's a sign-up sheet. There's also a bathroom over here. In fact, can someone get up and close that door? Thank you. These shows are recorded so that they can be shown on Facebook. Excuse me, not Facebook. YouTube. Thank you. Okay, so our first speaker tonight is Ron Stevenson. And he says here, lets us know that he was born at a very early age. He is co-founder of Barlow Gallery in downtown Tacoma. With many years of experience in the tech industry as a senior product manager for multiple software companies in the Seattle region and San Francisco Bay Area, Ron created and manages the rich website for the gallery. He is also a photographer and creative storyteller, authoring many of the artist profiles and social media posts online. Some of his distinctive images of people, places, and things can be seen on display in the gallery and online. He lives in Tacoma. Ron?
Tell them we turned tripod into an acronym.
Oh, repeat that, please.
Right, okay. So Lynn and I were talking, and I asked what tripod stood for, and she said, well, dummy, it's that thing with 3 legs. And I thought it was an acronym, and I said, well, it needs to be an acronym. And so what we came up with, Tacoma's resourceful, innovative people of destiny. Yeah, I mean, isn't this supposed to be the city of destiny? So, okay, so I'm turning on my 15 minutes here. I have 15 minutes, thank you. When this goes off, either I'm done or my laundry is finished. So, how many of you have been to Barlow Gallery? Okay, a few of you. And yeah, therein lies part of the problem. But I mean, I'm going to give you the good news and the bad news tonight. So, as Lynn said, I came out of the software industry, and we had an expression that I really liked in tech, which is, in order to predict the future, you should invent the future. And that's really a lot of what we're going to be trying to do in 2025. So we opened Barlow Gallery in April. It's on Market Street, right in the heart of downtown, right behind the Murano Hotel. And I'm going to run through a whole bunch of pictures of what our opening looked like and what some of our artists look like. We have an amazing collection of artists and fine art. So the opening was on April 24th, and we still haven't had the Tacoma News Tribune come by, so if anybody's here from the News Tribune, that would be a nice visit. We really did our best to try and get a broad collection of fine art and photography to show people. One of the features is we have a kiosk in the gallery where you can go online and see all of our artists and their work. We had pets come to the gallery, so that was good. And we spent a lot of time showcasing the art in different ways, as well as showcasing the artists themselves. So the first exhibition that we did was Rich Hall, who's a local Tacoma artist, does some amazing work, and he also collaborates with Heather Cornelius. She does the ceramics, he does the painting. And got quite a few people. There are actually several artists that attended that are with us today, like Peter Jacobson is a glass artist, and Davis Freeman's a photographer. He'll have an exhibit in our gallery in April. We also participated in the art bus. How many of you have ridden the art bus? 1 or 2 people, okay. if you ever have the art bus come by, make sure that you're the first stop. Because if you're the last stop, like we were, the first 3 stops are bars. So the people that get off the art bus and look at art are well lubricated. So our next exhibit was Lisa Daniel, who's here with us tonight, does amazing work, very large work. And we had a lot of folks come, even Laszlo Benza, one of our photographers from Sacramento, came up and took some photographs. And the other thing that Lisa does, which is really incredible, is the large work ends up in commercial spaces. And this is kind of an area of the gallery that we would like to expand. In fact, we're calling this the art library. The concept is that you would check out art like you would check out a book. If you have a home, the art would go up on the walls for 3 or 4 months. If you have a business, it would decorate the conference rooms and meeting rooms as you see here. But the concept here is something we really want to start preaching, if you will, to the business community. I have an artist colleague in Milan, Italy, and she writes a lot of blogs and things about the use of art in companies. She said it's a really important indication of the leadership of any company. And she says, you know, if you look at the walls, are the blank walls waiting to tell the story, or are the walls themselves the story? There's nothing there, right? So she's promoting this all over the world on LinkedIn, and I'm doing my best to help her. Our next exhibit was a watercolor artist from China, Ina Shi, who lives in Port Orchard, just does amazing work. And most of this work is really inexpensive. I wish I could say we've sold more, but we haven't. And the other thing Ina does is give lessons and classes on YouTube and in person to help other watercolor artists develop their craft. She has roughly 2,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel. So she's pretty amazing. And we promote her work in the same fashion in room settings and online, and she actually did 2 different demos for us. So photography is a big part of what we do, probably because I'm a photographer, but also because before we opened Barlow Gallery, we went up to visit an awful lot of the Seattle galleries in Pioneer Square and elsewhere, and they seem to be devoid of photography, which I've never understood. So one of the things you'll always find at Barlow Gallery is a lot of photography. And this is Dean Burke. He's a Tacoma photographer that does underwater work with a model. It's just incredible. In November, we had a photography exhibition with 6 different photographers, including Davis Freeman, who's here tonight. And you can see the amazing work that we had on display. These are the guys. So when you see Davis later, ask for his autograph. He's a famous guy. And then we had an opportunity, because we were across the street from the Murano Hotel, we got together with the GM and got the tour and realized they had an empty space. And we, over the next few months, put together a plan to take over the space and create a second gallery. And that ribbon cutting occurred on December 3rd. We had the chamber president there, and it was a great time. And our thinking was our primary gallery attracts people from the region. The gallery in Hotel Murano attracts people from everywhere but the region. So we're obviously getting customers from all over the place. Some of the pieces we sold before Christmas ended up being shipped to the East Coast. So amazing stuff, and it was a good time had by all. Oops, I think I pushed the laser. There we go. Rachel has done a phenomenal job. My co-founder and co-owner, Rachel, has done so much of the curation in both of our galleries. And you can see we have a slat wall on one side of the gallery in Hotel Murano, which has been really interesting, but also a lot of fun to fill with art. This is what it looks like. It's right inside the front door of Murano, so as you come in, you can check into the hotel on the right, and you can go to our gallery on the left. And when you do see this amazing woman here tonight, congratulate her, because inside of 1 year, she helped create not one but 2 art galleries in downtown Tacoma. I also hear her dad is a really cool guy. So if you see him, shake his hand. We have artists, we're starting to get artists from all over the place. This particular artist is from south of Portland. She does amazing work. We found her at the Bellevue Art Museum. We're up to 40 artists now and growing. And every time you see something from us, you're going to see an amazing diversity of both artworks and photography. And yet, herein lies the problem. The traditional art gallery experience, I think, is probably not going to survive. We have to find new ways for people to discover and purchase art. Too many galleries look like this. Our gallery too often looks like this. There's nobody in the gallery. COVID has changed everything. It's changed the way that we go to restaurants or buy food using DoorDash instead. We took a look at what we did well in '24 and what we didn't do well. And we're right now the only active fine art and photography gallery in downtown Tacoma, right in the core. And we're flooded with requests from artists to be in our gallery. What didn't go well is very little foot traffic. We don't know where the collectors are hiding, but we're definitely out on the lookout for them. We've discovered some interesting psychology. People are afraid to enter an art gallery. They'll come up to the threshold in Murano and they'll turn around and go the other way because they're afraid to come in. Most people don't know the difference between an art gallery and an art museum. They think that they have to pay admission to come into an art gallery, and so they don't come in. So there's a lot of stuff that we're having to fight. I met with several gallerists in Pioneer Square. These people are all amazing. They're all trying to do the same thing we are, and they're all saying, where did the people go? After COVID, the people disappeared. So we have to change things. So what we're doing at Barlow Gallery is reimagining what the art gallery experience should be. And I break it into these 3 things: encountering art, experiencing art, and being enlightened and learning about art. So first of all, in terms of art discovery, we're using more technology to create virtual exhibitions and to flesh out the artist information and artwork information on the site, exchange art with other galleries. In terms of art education, we want to do more around art history. And frankly, art is an asset class. Younger people who might be collectors need to understand why they would collect art. So we want to partner with the Tacoma Art Museum and several other key leaders in the art community to deliver this kind of education. And then from an experience standpoint, now, especially that we're in the Murano Hotel, you'll see we're going to start doing art exhibitions with jazz music and with, we have a bar at the Hotel Murano, right? Not like the art bus, though. You can get a room if things get a little tricky. Art walks and field trips and things. We want to take more of a leadership role in the community with these kinds of things. But even today, we have the best website of any art gallery that you will find anywhere, and I would challenge you to look for that. So I don't know how many of you have ever gone online, sites like Saatchi Art, Singulart. These places get millions of visitors a month, and they have hundreds of thousands of artists and artworks. We would like to do the same thing, but in the Northwest, and have it be Northwest focused, and frankly, do a better job. 80% of art buyers say they'll buy online, and many of them have. So I think a lot of the concerns about buying art online are going away, especially now with things like Instagram, where most people discover art. Financing programs like Affirm and Afterpay, these are things that are only available online. So for 2025, our vision is to take what we have, a very rich art discovery website, and expand it. We want to be the biggest and most interactive art gallery website anywhere. We'll have the richest profiles. You'll be able to order prints from any artwork or photograph on any material in any size: wood, paper, metal, acrylic, And we'll add virtual reality exhibitions to the experience as well. The difference between us and the Singularts of the world, or the Saatchis, is you can find the art online, but with us you can actually come see the art before you buy it. So the strictly online sites don't do that. We're combining the retail experience with the online experience. And we're maximizing our artist roster. We're at 40 now. We could be at 200 really soon. And part of that is we're getting artists from all over the world contacting us. And we used to sort of put those on the second tier shelf. Now we're thinking about embracing folks from all over the world and giving them that experience. So again, this is what it looks like to take an artwork, choose a size, pick a material, and you can have prints made if you can't afford to purchase the original artwork. The virtual experience, I'd show this to you if this was a computer, but we're looking at slides. You can move around the gallery. You can zoom into a given painting. You can look up more information on it, and even change the language. So instead of in English, things are in Espanol or another language. And the result is we want to be the largest art gallery anywhere in the region. The Bellevue Art Museum is gone. Their executive director resigned last week. The building is closed up. Why shouldn't we be the biggest art gallery in Bellevue or Seattle or any other place in the Northwest? So if we can grow this thing, if we can add the technology that I'm reasonably good at, and we can add the capabilities, the artists, the artworks to this, then we have an opportunity to do that. The Hotel Murano is a big core of this. I like to tell people we're the only art gallery with our own bar. There it is in the upper right corner. It's next to our gallery. It's not in our gallery, but you know, after a few drinks, you won't notice. So we love our relationship with the Murano. They have all the meeting space we could use. They have a convention space. And our primary gallery on Market Street, I hope you will visit at some point. In 25 seconds, I have to take my laundry out of the dryer. So thank you very much.
Are there questions? Wait a minute, let me bring the mic.
Only two-dimensional art?
No, we have sculpture as well.
Use the mic.
Can you use the microphone, please?
Yeah, I should, shouldn't I? Yeah, we have sculpture, we have glass art. We need more of that, though. We're fairly limited right now in the three-dimensional art, but I think we're also thinking beyond that. So, for example, last week, we got an email from an artist who focuses on tattoo art. And at first we were like, I don't know. The more we thought about it, the more we talked to some folks with terrific tattoos, now we're starting to think about that. Why not? As an art form. I don't think we'll get into performing art. I think there'll be some things we don't do, but it's going to be an interesting ride.
Another question?
If an artist approaches the gallery, what are you looking for from an artist?
Great question. So we're looking for diversity. You can only have so many pictures of Mount Rainier. We're looking for different styles. We're looking for a unique approach. We're looking for a story. So if you go to our website, one of the things you'll notice is that every artist has a very rich profile. I write half of those because a lot of people don't like to write. So I say, just send me bullets and I'll create the story. I think I end up photographing about half the artists too because they don't have great pictures of themselves. Their online dating profile from 10 years ago doesn't do it. So, yeah, not only do we want stories of the artists, we want stories of the work. When someone takes an amazing photograph, we always get asked, where was this taken? And unless the artist tells us that, it's a mystery, right? So with a painting, we want to know, what were you thinking? What was the approach? What was your influence? So I think we want people to go to our site and say, wow, this is all very different. Every time someone comes into our gallery, thanks to Rachel's curation, they get a new experience every month. That's what we want. And of course, online, you're going to have just an amazing range of art to look at from all over the world. And we want that to be a bigger part of the experience as well.
Any more questions?
Yes,
Thanks, Ron.
one more here.
One more, yeah.
It's really quick. Why Tacoma?
Why Tacoma? I got lost one day on I-5. Got off at the wrong exit. No, seriously. Living in Tacoma, I remember a couple years ago bringing up Yelp and asking for a list of the top 10 galleries. They were all gone when I went to find them. So part of this is a post-COVID exercise to rejuvenate, take advantage of the fact that there's a big hole in the art gallery market. But again, we're discovering that the traditional art gallery isn't going to do it. We've got to provide new experiences. It has to be more of a destination. It has to be more of a journey than just a place that you go and you nod, and we've had a bunch of those this week, but buying the art is a different story. So Tacoma is easier to get around. Tacoma has a group of wonderful artists, many of whom are sitting here tonight. But we could frankly do this everywhere. Yes, I've sent a letter to Kemper Development and said, how much is a spot in Bellevue Square? Because they don't have, I think there's like one gallery downtown Bellevue that we found. That's a very wealthy community, and why can't we find the art collectors there? I don't think we're gonna put a physical location in Bellevue Square, but I'd still like to know how much it costs, and I'd rather use this online approach, frankly, to capture that audience.
I really don't need a mic. Oh, there we go. Thanks. What are your hours? When are you open? Because I just live around the corner from you.
Right. Well, we played around with that. We're open less than we were because we would go days without anybody coming in. I think we're more focused on Thursday, Friday, Saturday for the main gallery on Market Street. The Murano's a different story because when you think about the hotels you've stayed in, the checkout is usually 11, but you're gone long before then because you got a plane to catch. So when we were open in the mornings at the Murano, nobody would come in. What we find is that the normal check-in time in a hotel is 2 to 3 o'clock. So we find that once people check in, that's when we start to get activity in the afternoon and evening because people are looking for something to do. They're staying in the hotel because of a business meeting the next day or whatnot. So we have an interesting thing coming up. We discovered today, Valentine's Day weekend, turns out isn't just for Valentine's Day. The Fiber Arts Convention is happening at the Murano. There are hundreds of sessions and meetings, and the hotel will be full of people into fiber arts. And hopefully we'll get a little business that weekend as well. We're also going to put on some Valentine's Day oriented things up at the main gallery on Market Street. These two galleries are across the street from each other. So we're behind the Murano Hotel on Market Street, and the Murano Gallery is inside the hotel itself. So,
Ron, did you want to say something about that bottle in your hand?
yes, thank you for reminding me. I'm not the only one that gets a Barlow Gallery bottle. So Rachel will be in the back later passing these out. I guess you could use it for the dog, but I'd appreciate it if you'd use it yourself. So.
Thank you. On the stage here is an artwork by Chip VanGuilder, and it's 3D printed in plastic. So after the show, I invite you to come up and take a close look. It's pretty amazing. It's 4 feet. Is that right, Chip? 4 feet wide?
Like 24 high.
Okay. Anyway, okay. Also, I want to remind you there's a clipboard in the back on that table, and if you're not getting the email invitations, you can add your name to that list. Okay, Teruko Nimura is next. She's born in 1978, based in University Place. And she creates drawings, sculptures, site-specific installations, pottery, public artworks, and multi-layered community engagement projects that invite discovery and introspection through experiential connection. Her Japanese and Filipino cultural heritage is a foundational lens for her explorations of collective memory and trauma, identity, motherhood, and the climate crisis. Her work considers the body and its presence within the contextual specific of the spaces they inhabit. With repetition, multiples, and labor as a gesture of love, she celebrates the flaws and vulnerabilities of objects made by hand. An emphasis on process and a fascination with the felt language of diverse and humble materials resonates throughout her multidisciplinary practice. She received her BFA from San Francisco Art Institute and her MFA from UT Austin. She has exhibited in the US, Mexico, and Canada. She was an Oxbow School of Art Fellow, a mentee artist in the Austin's Launchpad, that's Public Art Duo, that program for emerging public artists. She was featured in the 2017 Texas Biennial, the New York City Highlines multi-city exhibition called New Monuments for New Cities. Since relocating to Washington, she was a Tacoma Park, that stands for Public Art Reaching Community Artist, featured in the 2021 Bellevue Bellwether Arts Festival, the 2023 BEMA Spotlight juried exhibition, and Scanning the Room at the Vashon Center for the Arts. She was a nominated artist for Tacoma's Artist in the Archives, a 2023 Rockland Art Resident. Boy, we're getting tired just listening to your accomplishments. And serves as Artist in Residence for Tacoma's Environmental Services from 2024 to 25. Teruko.
Okay, I orient myself here with my 15 minutes. Make sure that I know how to advance my slides here. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm so happy to be here. Oh, okay, yes. I will speak into the mic if I can. I maybe adjust it a little bit? Okay. So, thank you for that introduction. I'm going to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about, first, where my work kind of comes from, my influences, and also show you some of my past work. And then I'll talk to you a little bit about my current experience, which is as artist in residence for the City of Tacoma's Environmental Services Department. A lot of my work, as you heard, is kind of grounded in my heritage. My father and family were really wanted us to kind of understand where we came from, and a big reason for that was because my family was incarcerated in the camps during World War II. My father and all of his siblings, my grandma and grandparents, and I think he really wanted us to have pride in where we came from and know that history. So And when I was 4 and 6 years old, we took a trip as a family to Japan, and we went to Hiroshima, which is where my family is from, a significant location as well, as you know, for World War II. And we visited the Peace Park there with this monument to Sadako, the little girl who passed away from radiation. She survived the bombing, but she ended up passing away from the radiation exposure. There's a legend in Japan where if you fold 1,000 paper cranes, you'll receive a wish, and she did get to that benchmark, but unfortunately still passed away as a victim of war. And so the community erected this monument, and every year people come and bring these sort of offerings of peace with these strands of origami cranes. And I think just seeing that impact of, that was the first time I knew that there was something called war, that I was a little girl at the time, so there was a little girl that you didn't have to be old to die, just kind of blew my mind at that age. Also, just the continued labor, that gesture of remembrance through the cranes really made an impact in all the multiples. It just, I think, has influenced the way that I work. Unfortunately, my father passed away the summer after that trip to Japan, and so dealing with his loss was a big part of my growing up, really. And my mom was heartbroken, and she wanted to continue his desire for us to learn about our culture and participate in these different traditional events. And so every year she would take us to our local Buddhist temple to participate in Obon, which is the festival of our ancestors, of the dead, in Japan. And people dance to traditional music and new music together. It's intergenerational. And I always felt like I was connecting through the ages, really, by participating in these festivals and honoring my ancestors and my dad through that. Also, my losing him, my love of objects and feeling how much those can communicate, sort of knowing him through objects. He was a great collector of Japanese items, and so I felt like I really was connecting to him through objects. So my love of objects is, and anything Japanese, and has influenced my work. So you'll see, so multidisciplinary, that's like kind of a big word or a big category. And for me, it means that I work in many different ways. I kind of allow the concept or idea to kind of dictate what material or method I'll use. And so, and I also love doing 2-dimensional work, 3-dimensional work, and beyond. So this is an example of one of my bodies of work called the Chrysanthemum Veil. It's a 2-dimensional, well, sort of. It's a layered sort of drawing painting. And I like to, and it's kind of about exploring my relationship to my heritage, and as this is sort of hard to understand being mixed Asian American. And this is, I took sort of traditional Edo era images of women and multiplied them, mirrored them, and made them sort of abstracted and obscure. So the experience of the viewer, you see one thing, and it's kind of, you don't know what it is. And if you go closer, you might identify an eye or lips or something, and then you start to kind of pick apart what the image really is made of. So I like that sort of abstraction of something recognizable. I also do pottery and ceramic sculptures. These are just a few examples of some of the things I like to work with. I do sort of little sculptural objects that are inspired by the figurine, the Japanese sort of collectible figurine, sort of deconstructing those symbols that are sort of ubiquitous to the culture. Performance art, pieces integrating the gesture of folding and origami and different processes like that. And then installation work, which is typically site-specific or something that's temporary, sculptural in nature. This piece is called Hibaku Jumoku, which is a meditation on the ginkgo trees that survived the bombing in Hiroshima. They were singed and pretty much looked dead from the outside but bloomed the following year. And so this was me sort of thinking about that cycle of life and death and how fragile it is, and also an example of how I like to play with different kinds of materials. So these are actual ginkgo leaves, dried and pressed, and then on the left is I made ginkgo leaves out of pig intestines that are stretched and singed and cured to kind of think about the material being part of the meaning. Also, more installation sort of lamenting about the climate crisis, deforestation. This piece is called Ghost Forest. Another piece kind of confronting old ideas about racism and things that my dad probably, images that my father maybe encountered as he was growing up. And those are really reactive to the viewer, and their body movements create this sort of wind that moves the silk that these images are covered over, and sort of obscures and abstracts those images as well. And then I kind of merged from installation art into like public art. So this piece is a piece I did in Austin for the Austin Animal Center, using the Maneki Neko Lucky Cat figurine. Cast 1,800 of those, slip cast ceramic in my tiny little studio, and laid them out in this giant Fibonacci spiral on the lawn, and each one was it meant to represent, the number was represented 1/10 of the animals that were served in the largest no-kill shelter in the country. And each one was sort of for sale, so that we raised about $5,000 for the neediest animals, and all that money went directly to the shelter. Another piece that I did at Wright Park called Wind Circle, that was during the pandemic. Another installation about unity and the fragility of that, kind of a love letter to Tacoma. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go a little faster. Another sort of social piece where I engaged community to create their wishes on lanterns, and I collected about 3,000 of them and invited people to an event to celebrate their work together. A piece I did for Tacoma. I'm going to kind of go through this called Care is Free, and it was care packages for mental health during the pandemic. And a last public piece that I'll talk about before the Artist in Residence is this piece I did with the Madison Elementary School or preschool to educate about greening the neighborhood and planting trees, and partnered with the Tacoma Tree Foundation. And we did an event where we, inspired by the Tanabata Festival, and invited community to come plant trees, and it led to some additional tree planting in the area. So now, to talk a little bit about the Artist in Residence that I'm doing right now. We're lucky to live in a city that wants to support the arts. And so I am the first, there's two of us, Artists in Residence, and the goal is really to tackle all of our complex problems in another way. I mean, I'm one piece of the puzzle, and my main goal is to do outreach and sort of education about some of the issues that we're facing pertaining to solid waste and the environment. So, the projects that I'm working on, so I've been working with the city for about since March of 2024, and the first few months were kind of research and development. I was confronted by, got to go on lots of tours of the facilities, being sort of trying to figure out what I was going to say with this opportunity with my work, and I was really amazed by the volume of the waste that we create and what to do with it, and it was kind of beautiful but terrifying at the same time. I also wanted to figure out what my own personal footprint was, so I did this whole study where I collected my waste and did these cyanotypes, recording them all, and then made this kind of design where these are going to be printed on some garbage cans around the city, trying to educate people about waste and how it will, if it hits the ground, it hits the sound, kind of. And some different themes emerged for what I felt like I needed to talk about with the work, with these additional projects, those larger projects. And I was feeling really depressed after doing all of the touring and seeing all of the scale of the problem was kind of unimaginable. Some of the things that I knew I wanted to highlight were the immensity of it, the sort of disconnection that we have from all of the systems that we have in place and regarding waste, and that personal action plus collective action must be highlighted as well, and that labor, that the work, there was going to be a lot of work to do, and there's still a lot of work to do from the individual to government to industry. And I'm going to skip a little bit through this. So I came up with 3 ideas for projects that I'm currently in the midst of right now, calling the whole series Wasteland Dreams. And it's really about understanding the story of solid waste and trying to communicate that in a way that's really accessible and relatable to the body and the experience of that waste. So the first piece is called Entangled, and it's a giant spider web inspired by the orb weavers, and I did a sort of public call to collect these sort of really ubiquitous materials, these onion bags that like our produce comes in, and processed it all, cut it up and made my own sort of yarn out of it. And then, and I had open studio. I have a studio over at the recycling center, if you can believe it, in a little trailer there. They've given me a little, 15 minutes. Shall I take questions? Sorry. Okay, sorry. So that's my little space there, and there's the recycling center. So if you're over there ever, and I made this sort of garbage spider that I used a unit of like collecting my family's waste for a week, and made this spider that's about 5 feet big and covered it with those products packaging, and then created this giant 25-foot spider web with the collected materials that I got from the public, as well as Trader Joe's was my main supplier too. They were really great at keeping those for me. I'd go like 3 times a week for about a month. So my idea was to, have these sort of units of time that were understandable, because to me, like just the number of things that we go through in a day, in a week, as a city was just like, I can't understand that. So this was about a month of me, or I'm sorry, 3 months collecting that, or no, I'm sorry, this one was for a month, collecting this material, and then I wove this giant spider web out of it to kind of communicate how we're sort of interconnected in this problem. And I wanted this kind of really recognizable symbol that people could kind of just get and feel and understand, and the scale was really important. I wanted to involve people in talking about that through this activity, which we designed, my husband and I go out to different events and weave with people as an orb weaver spider does with recycled fabric, torn up sheets, and did it at the T-Town, as well as I have one at SAMI right now, the School and Math Institute. Science and Math Institute, and at the Enviro House, which sadly is closed now, but I had one there as well. And the idea is to collect these weavings and create a large tapestry that kind of reflects the scale of our community as well as the scale of our waste. And I love one thing to note is that they're double-sided. So making something together, I feel like I can make one on one side and another could make on the other side, and we can have a real conversation. And that's one of the things that I love about that. This is a piece that is in process called Extended Family Table. I'll be making out of my personal home childhood table, and it's meant to kind of talk about the deconstruction initiative in Tacoma, as well as kind of talk about the legacy that we leave and the preciousness of objects. And my idea is to collect a bunch of wooden table legs and attach it to my table and have this idea of that all of the support is necessary from collective support, as well as we can share in the bounty as well, like as a family does. So that's that piece that's in process. And then the last piece I'll talk about is forthcoming. It's called Upstream Together. It's based on the Japanese Children's Day Festival, which is meant to celebrate the health and well-being of children. And it's the story of the carp is that the reason they use that symbol is the carp was so resilient and persevered that they swam upriver and became a dragon. And so my idea is to have, I'm creating these carp streamers out of recycled grocery bags that I've collected again from the public. And I'm also working with students at high school at the School of Science and Math Institute, SAMI, for their mini-term. I'm in the midst of that right now, and we just finished our second week. Working with teenagers is challenging and new, or not new, but it's a new generation. It really is. I feel like extraordinarily old when I'm working with them. But I wanted to show a few of the assignments that I've been having them do. I had them do a similar personal solid waste kind of data sheet that had them collect their waste, and then we made, some recycled sculptures out of that in class, out of the waste that they collected themselves. To get them sort of their creative juices flowing, we did some ink blot drawings together to see in new ways and just kind of play. We also did a hike, and we're doing these sort of clay, working again with clay, which is a lovely tactile material, to just notice and appreciate the natural world. And then this is the beginning of the carps, their participation in the carp streamer installation. I brought all the bags that I've collected thus far and asked them to do a sort of instant collaborative art installation where to get them to understand what art installation art is, and had them lay out all of the things that I've collected over the last 3 months. And they did this huge line of it and we measured it, and we had them stand in the big mountain of them just to feel like that, the amount of waste. And it was only 3 months that I collected these. And then they did these little installation, site-specific installations with the bags. And then they're gonna be making their own carp, and that's some of them doing that. And then those carps will be displayed along with the ones that I make at the Sustainability Expo in Tacoma in April of 2024. And they're also making their own dragons. And they're basically choosing an environmental topic that they're researching, and then they're gonna portray that onto a dragon. And they're building those, and these are photos from today. They're building those cardboard dragons, and they're using that as their own platform to research and share about a topic that interests them regarding the environment. And I hope that you can all come to the South Sound Sustainability Expo in April. And that's it, really. Thank you so much. Thanks for allowing me a little extra time.
Well, you covered everything, I guess. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Take care. Oh, yes. Yes.
No, back there. Right here. So I just wanted to say, Teruko, I really appreciate your social, environmentally engaged, practice. And just as that Barlow Gallery is wanting to be like the gallery of the Northwest, like, wouldn't it be great if Tacoma was the city for environmental sustainability? And how do you feel? Do you feel hopeful? And what is our status and where we are in the level?
I think we have some really amazing people in the city working. You'll hear from one of them tonight, actually, after me, to get our city in a place where it supports the arts and is also, a leader in environmental practices that are hopefully will, help our beautiful, keep our sound safe and our environment safe and our kids safe. So I am hopeful. I mean, it's hard. It can easily feel like defeatist sometimes, but I believe in the people that are really working to educate, to get us to change our behaviors and really reflect on what we're doing. So, and we have a really growing and thriving arts community that I think is going to be key to that as well. So, thank you. Yeah.
So thank you for supporting Tripod by donating $4 each time. That goes to our rent and to Erik, our tech guy. And it's Erik who said, why don't we put these on YouTube? And so he figures out where to put the camera and what to do with the lights and how to operate the system and do everything at once. And tonight is the first night in ages that the technical stuff has gone so well. And some of you have been present where we had a hard time lining up the projector with the images and so forth. So everybody that presents is a volunteer. I'm a volunteer. All the speakers put these shows together. It's a tremendous amount of work, so thank them yourselves if you can. So our last speaker is Rebecca Solverson, who manages the City of Tacoma's Arts and Cultural Vitality Division. In other words, she's at the top of the food chain. Prior to starting this role in 2024, she was the program manager for the city's public art program, where she managed the city's municipal art collection, 1% for Art program, temporary projects like murals and traffic box wraps, and public art consulting with outside partners like Tacoma Housing Authority, Sound Transit, Pierce Transit, and Metro Parks. Previously, she managed public art projects across the state of Washington, across the state for the Washington State Arts Commission, that's Arts WA, and was the first staff of SpaceWorks Tacoma. She is also a founding member of the Tacoma Tool Library. Hopefully she'll tell us something about that. Rebecca holds a BA in art history from Bard College, a certificate in geographic information, ask her what that is, systems from the University of Washington, Tacoma, and is a proud Tacoma School of the Arts graduate. Rebecca?
Okay, thanks everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So my name is Rebecca Solverson. I was already introduced, so I'm gonna mostly show you some pictures tonight. I started out with, if it'll move, that way, other way, okay. So this is, I swear this is the only like boring graph that I'm gonna show you tonight. But I did want to kind of tell you about how my work and the work of the people I work with fits into the rest of the city and kind of how we work together. So I'm the current manager of the Arts and Cultural Vitality Division. We have kind of two different parts. One is under the Arts Commission, and we have some funding programs I'm going to talk about. We also do public art and lots of other things. It's Friday night. And then the other side of the house is Tacoma Creates, which is a voter-approved tax that funds arts, culture, science, and heritage in Tacoma. So both of those are kind of under what I do. I come from the public art program, so that's my background. I just started this role in October, so I've been doing public art for a long time and just new in this role. And we're within the Community and Economic Development Department at the city, so that is the lens that we look at everything through. Because art is part of community development and it's part of economic development. So I'm going to start with public art because that's my background. I'm going to start with Teruko because you just saw her. So this is her at South Sound Sustainability Expo last year. And I'm just going to go real quickly through these. I won't talk about all of them, but if anybody, maybe raise your hand if there's something you saw that you want me to actually talk about. But our public art program covers a lot of different types of works. We do temporary art, we do artist in residence programs, we do murals, we do permanent artwork, pieces like Mary Cassa's piece Ghost Log. If you haven't seen this on Dickman Mill on the waterfront, it's a beautiful piece. This is one I will stop and talk about because this piece is a gorgeous, permanent, large-scale sculpture that's dealing with this really beautiful intersection between, our industrial history, the tribal natural world history as well, talking about where our resources come from. And this piece also just gives you a scale of the actual logs that used to be here, and we don't get those anymore. So I encourage you to go down and look at that. There's also an amazing podcast that the artist did. So all these pieces I'm showing you, don't have time to talk about all of them, but they all have many layers to them and all have like the blood, sweat, and tears of all these artists that do this work for us. We also do work for Metro Parks Tacoma. This is a piece at Eastside Community Center. We have another artist in the house who did a piece at Eastside Community Center, Mauricio, sitting right there. I don't have your piece. I don't think I have your piece here, but what? 'Cause yeah, okay, yeah, you go get it. That's just so you come back and talk about it if you haven't yet here. We do temporary pieces, like traffic box wraps, like Lynn mentioned, temporary murals that interact with the work of the city. So we're always looking for ways that that artists can support the work of the city. We mostly work through 1% for Art, which is a funding mechanism that takes a little tiny percentage from construction projects, but we can a lot of times also get our colleagues at the city to agree to fund other projects that help meet their goals. I include this one because I know everybody's seen this, and this is a current bane of my existence because there's a broken piece of glass that is, we're having issues with the screws, and so part of what I do also, what we do is maintenance and caring for these pieces ongoing. This is our biggest piece that we care for, but we care for lots of pieces around the city. So be kind if you see a broken, let me know if you see a broken pane of glass, and then be kind when it takes a little bit to fix it. We also have funding programs. This is all under the Arts Commission. One of them is called Community Arts Projects. Has anybody maybe been funded through community arts projects here? No, maybe not. Maybe, yeah, one, yeah. This is a funding program that is up to $9,000 this year. That's new. So I think we have $3,000, $6,000, and $9,000 tiers, and these fund community arts projects, just like it says. But it funds. We don't just fund nonprofits. This is kind of a unique program. We don't get to fund businesses or community groups through any of the Tacoma Creates funding. So this is a place we actually can fund businesses and community groups and folks that don't have a nonprofit status but are doing really good work in the community. So like for a long time, Ways Goose was funded through this program, things like that are maybe a business doing really good work with artists, but it can be hard to get funding if you're not a nonprofit. Another funding program that we have through the Arts Commission is called Tacoma Artists Initiative Program. I know there may be some artists who've been funded through that here. This is really amazing that Tacoma has a funding program for individual artists. A lot of cities don't have that. The application is open right now. It actually closes on the 27th of this month. So get your applications in if you're interested. We only do this every 2 years, so you won't be able to do it. You won't be able to apply again for 2 years, but it's $4,000 for you to do work that is your own work, to move your own career forward. You do have to do a public component, but you should, sorry, what was that? Somebody say something? No? Okay. Just get excited. That's good. I like that. This is a really special thing that the city does, and it shows the fact that it continues to be funded, the fact that we've been doing it for so long shows the importance of individual artists to the city, and so we're really proud of this program. We also have a Poet Laureate program. Our current Poet Laureate is Christian Page. This is a really amazing program where we're able to uplift and highlight poets, and this is something that opens up every 2 years as well. And Christian, or whoever is the Poet Laureate at the time, will often do official speaking engagements as part of their work. It gives them a little bit more of a platform, and there's a little bit of funding that comes with that as well. So I believe he's speaking at that MLK Day celebration on Monday, and we love having that platform for our poets too. Tacoma Arts Month is something we also do. Did anybody participate in Tacoma Arts Month or go to anything? Yeah, it's the best month of the year in Tacoma. So we do a couple different things. We have an opening party. The last couple of years it's been at Star Center, but often it will move around. I'm gonna say it in public here. It'll be somewhere else next year. We like to move it around. So. That's a fun party, and we also do the AMACAT Arts Awards at that. So it's a chance for us to recognize people doing amazing things in our community, recognize individual artists. There's an arts patron, and there's also a community organization award as well. So studio tours, that's my favorite weekend of the year. I know this crowd knows about studio tours, but it's so much fun to see how people work, and I hope it's fun for the artists too, but as somebody who gets to go and enjoy it, I love it. But it's really special, I think, for people to connect with artists, see how they work, and talk with them and engage a little bit. And this last year it was on a beautiful weekend, so I love that too. And then we've started doing Arts at the Armory the last couple years. That is at the Tacoma Armory that Tacoma Arts Live runs, and it's an awesome event. It's a 2-day art fair, and we try to lower as many barriers as we can, and that is so it's free for artists to participate. And I worked it this year, but mostly it was just like shopping for me. It was right before the holidays, so I encourage you to look out for that next year too. Space First Tacoma is something we also have a long-standing relationship with and support, and that's part of how we do our creative economy work too, and support creative entrepreneurs in the city, and support temporary art installations too. So that's the Arts Commission kind of side of the house, and Tacoma Creates is, like I said, it's a tax-funded initiative. I think these slides have a little bit more, some more words, so I'll leave them up for a little longer. It was voted on in 2018, so I think we're going on our 5th year of like the program actually running after it got after it got started, and it's really amazing. It is supporting. It's all for nonprofit, so it's arts, culture, science, heritage, and we're able to really like sustainably support these organizations that are doing this amazing work in the community. You could just see from the numbers, we all know there aren't 1.2 million people in Tacoma, so this is touching people multiple times throughout the year. These are funding goals. I think you all don't need to read all these words, but the goal, there's a specific emphasis on youth, so supporting youth, supporting all parts of the community, so we make sure that the funding is spread out throughout the city, and supporting the sustainability of the cultural sector. So it's really important that our organizations have sustainable support so that they continue doing their work. They're part of the economy. They employ people, and they need to be able to have that consistent funding source and consistent presence in the community as well. There is an amazing map online if you go to tacomacreates.org/locations, where you can actually look at where all of these programs are happening. A lot of these dots represent dozens of programs that happen throughout the year. As you can see, they're spread out all over the place, and the kind of green dot represents youth education, and the orange dot, youth education programs, and the orange dot represents general education, general public programs. So it's really, the staff that runs Tacoma Creates does an amazing job of making sure that we're really hitting on a lot of different levels. Anything here I want to talk about? 78% of programs were free for all participants. It's amazing. We do, Tacoma Creates is a way for us to get funding out into the community, and our organizations just do an amazing job of serving the community in the way that they know it needs to be done. We work with Tacoma Public Schools. The thing that I love about this slide is that this year we had a connection, our organizations had a connection with 100% of Tacoma Public Schools. So, yeah, and the average was 5. The average was, the average connection with organizations was 5, so on average, schools were interacting with 5 organizations. So it's incredible. So Tacoma Creates is a piece of supporting like the Beyond the Bell and Club B. It's not everything. There are other organizations that also provide support. Metro Parks is a huge one, but we do a lot of the arts, culture, science, heritage programming through this funding. One thing that is amazing that Tacoma Creates funding also does is it is a piece of supporting field trips in K through 8, in all grades K through 8. So Tacoma Public School students K through 8 go to have a fully paid for field trip. Every single student in Tacoma Public Schools. It's incredible. So 4 of the 9 field trips are to Tacoma Creates funded organizations. That's part of their funding. And the funding that we have also pays for the transportation to and from. So having this funding is one of the pieces that allowed this to happen for the whole district. So we love that kids can go have these amazing, very important formative experiences and not have to worry about if they can pay for it or if they go to a school where the PTA can fundraise for it. So it's pretty incredible. We also have a partnership with Tacoma Public Library, so we're matching up these organizations with Tacoma Public Library sites. That's been super successful. In the last program year, there were 114 programs presented, so that's an average of 2 a week. Really excited to see how that partnership's going to grow, and just like using these spaces that we already have, these organizations that are doing good work and they need places to work. I have 30 seconds left. I think I'm close. Oh, I'm just going to go through a bunch of slides of Tacoma Creates funded events from the last program year. I just picked a handful of them, but it gives you a taste. Ooh, did I have 2 from Tacoma Little Theater? But they were both really good photos, so I didn't mean to do that. And again, we support its arts, culture, heritage, and science. So also looking at how we can build heritage and science and how those organizations all work together too. Rainbow Center and the Grand Cinema did this program together. It's a local nonprofit organization that supports LGBTQ plus community. And I thought I would end, I think this is my last one, I thought I'd end on Golden Bamboo's TET Festival because that's coming up really soon. So we do have an amazing events calendar on TacomaCreates.org as well, and so I encourage you to check that out. There are a ton of free events and lots of good things to check out. And if you're looking for something to do, you're helping to support activities in your community, so take advantage of it, enjoy, go to events. And last thing I'll say is that Tacoma Creates is being reauthorized, it's up for reauthorization this year in 2025, so we're working with City Council, who will be able to vote to reauthorize it, hopefully. And working through that process now and feeling really good about it and excited for the next step in the next phase in Tacoma Creates and work of the city, and happy to answer any questions. I'm only...
Can you say something about the Tacoma Art Commission listserv?
Yeah, yes. Did anybody get an email about Tripod from the listserv? Yes, me too, yeah. So we also manage the listserv. So my colleague Naomi Strawmavila moderates it. Sometimes when she's gone, I moderate it. So it's a really simple but effective tool, I think. I think it's like one of the best tools we have for getting information out. And so that's one of the things that we do for the community.
Seattle doesn't have that.
They should. It's so easy and cheap. so as I'm getting into this role, I'm trying to think of the things that we can do that other people maybe can't do that are.
Does everybody here know what the listserv is?
So it's basically a what is a listserv?
It's free.
It's a one-sided email list, right? Yeah. So you send your email in.
Where do we send it?
You send it to.
If you type in Tacoma Art Commission listserv, it takes you right to the page. And I believe all you have to do is type in your email address. And then you might get, I don't know, 10 a week, maybe. And those are emails from other people like you that are signed up that say, gee, I have a gallery, we're having an opening. I'm an artist, I'm in this show, come and see it. Something is happening at Metro Parks. stuff like that.
And
It's
you
a
can send stuff to it
fabulous
too.
tool.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
And if you email me, I'll put you on it too if you don't want to go through.
Well,
You know,
and where do they get your email address?
right on the screen, right there. It's if you can see it.
Questions?
So is Tacoma Creates, is there a listserv just for that, or is that?
Repeat the question.
The question was, is there a listserv just for Tacoma Creates? And there is not a listserv just for Tacoma Creates.
To get all the information about parks, and that you have to go through the other listserv.
So we have a list that we maintain just for opportunities from our office. So there's another list that you can sign up for just to get stuff from our office that would include Tacoma Creates too. And there is a digest version also. You can sign up for that. So I think it's like 1 a day max. Try it out. You can just saying. We also post everything we have social medias as well for Tacoma Arts and also Tacoma Creates, and we post everything there. But the Tacoma Creates the events calendar is pretty good if you're looking for events too that are put on by those organizations.
Okay. Thank you. That was great.
Thanks.
So Monday is Inauguration Day, January 20th. I think everybody knows that. And there's a march on Saturday. People are meeting at 10 a.m. at the Chinese Reconciliation Park. And if you can find that online somehow, it'll show you where the path is that people are marching. So I want to tell you about next month's image show. Some people have been here to see, that's terrible. Somehow I didn't write it down and I don't see his name. We've had a guy here that has done a couple of shows, and one of them was building sand sculpture. Thank you, Jeff Strong. Yes, that's right. So he's presenting next month, and it's sort of a travel show. Becky Fraze is doing a show on stone structures in England, Ireland, and Scotland. And then a few months ago, we had a show that was 100% Papua New Guinea. And 3 of the people that went to Papua New Guinea each showed their own version of what goes on there. And I didn't feel like we covered everything. So next month, February 21, I'm going to do another version of the Papua New Guinea show. So I hope you'll come. So thank you so much for coming. Questions? No.